Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning! This video contains spoilers for the graphic novel, Absolute Wonder Woman. It may also include discussions or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a great day.
Hello and welcome to this video. Hope everyone's doing well, hope everyone's doing fine, and I hope the universe is treating you fairly. Today's video is going to be on a comic that I would have normally passed on. Because at the time of the creation of the universe that this comic is set in, I had taken it as to be a niche type thing. I figured I'd let this particular universe run its course, then go back and buy the compilations and see if, buy a compilation here or there, or graphic novel, I should say, and decide from there whether or not to get into it. However, I saw a video done for this particular story on Comic Pop. Really good YouTube channel, very professional, great chemistry with all the people that are in it, that run it, that do it, edit it. Wonderful crew. Can't praise them enough. And they did Absolute Wonder Woman. This is a great video. I recommend highly. After watching this video, go watch their video, because their video is going to probably make a whole lot more sense than mine. But the Absolute Wonder Woman is set in the DC Absolute universe, or the All-In universe, depending on who you talk to. I talked to the guy at my local comic shop, and they tend to refer to it as the All-In universe. And my hair is doing weird shit, but the premise is, and about probably somewhere between a year to 24 months ago, I don't remember exactly when, DC did a comic called All In. The high points of the comic are Justice League fights Darkseid, who's kind of the DC equivalent to Galactus, kind of a constant evil. You can't destroy him, or you can't kill him. You can destroy him. It's got to go back, regain corporeal form, then continue with his, badness and craziness stuff. Like I said, the premise was they fight. Justice League fights Darkseid. Darkseid gets blown into smithereens, goes through a crack in time and space, and creates the Darkseid universe, the Absolute universe, the All-In universe. The big thing is, the main continuity universe is a mixture of light energy, goodness, black energy, or dark energy, badness. It's a mixture thereof. In the Absolute universe, it's primarily dark energy from dark side with a little bit of light. In this universe, your heroes, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter, are all heroes. They're all good guys. But because of the influx of dark energy, they're the same. They have the same goals, same ambitions, same beliefs. But they're in a position where they can play a little bit fast and loose with rules. Like I said, I was going to let this play out the way, I was going to let it play out then buy them just after the debacle, I guess you want to call it, of the Earth One. And it's not that the Earth One stories are bad, or like the New 52 reboot, resetting of the universe, or the rebirth setting of the universe. The stories aren't good. They aren't bad, excuse me. I screwed that one up. The stories aren't bad. They are good. Some of them excel above other ones. However, they're just very niche. They don't have a wide audience appeal. Therefore, when they rebooted the New 52 and comic timeline, they almost immediately went to rebirth because of the way it was structured. The stories were good. The structure wasn't. The stories were a little too niche for a mass market audience. Now, what I think, this is my opinion, that the main continuity universe and the absolute universe are running parallel to each other. And at some point, they're going to merge them. Boom. They're going to... And what they're going to do is they're going to take the things that were popular in the main continuity, things that were popular in the absolute universe, and merge them into this reboot. Comic books have to reboot every so often. All your comic book companies, DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, Epic, all your comic have to reset about every 10 to 15 years because the age demographic changes. They have that, or if they botch a reboot, like they did with New 52. Like I said, there's some damn good stories came out of New 52. But like I said, they were niche. The universe was sloppily put together. The universe was obviously put together by lawyers and accountants and not comic book writers. So there's that. And I think, like I said, the one title I've read is The Absolute Wonder Woman, which makes me kind of want to drop a little bit of coin on the Batman, Superman, Martian Manhunter. I believe they're in the process of Flash and Green Arrow, but I'd have to look that up, so don't quote me on that. So yeah, it's absolute universe, and that's kind of the TLDR of it. Now, Wonder Woman. This Wonder Woman is not your stereotypical Wonder Woman. She's good. She's a force of good. She was raised in hell by Cersei and not on Themyscira by Hippolyta. In fact, there's a really... it starts out... Okay, this comic is told two parallel timelines. You have the present, and you have Diana growing up. And it flips back and forth. I'm not going to do that in this video. We're going to go chronological in this video just because it's easier for my little brain. We have Cersei. She kind of pissed off the gods, and they basically put her in the Greek afterlife, the underworld, the Greek underworld. She has her own, they gave her her own little island, kind of like she had an island in the overworld. And Cersei's there. Cersei is a Greek goddess that loves to turn horny men into animals. That's her thing. That's what she does. For more information on that, read Homer's The Odyssey. And she wreaks havoc on Odysseus and his crew. But she's in hell. She's been sentenced to hell. We don't know what for or why, but that's where she's at. She's on her island called the Wild Isle. Some alliteration there. Then Apollo shows up. Apollo's like, Apollo shows up and tells Cersei to, kneel before him. And Cersei's like, yeah, right, fuck off. And Apollo's like, that's kind of what I expected, but, I had to try. And Apollo gives her a baby. He goes, this is Diana Themyscira, last of the Amazons. Her people piss Zeus off. Zeus is in the process of torturing them for an eternity or some. And when he gets bored of torturing them, he's going to wipe them off the face of existence. Because Zeus is that kind of guy in this universe. And this, you need to raise her. Oh yeah, by the way, you cannot say the word Amazon. Just because we, the gods, have decided to be dicks to specifically you, Cersei. And Cersei being pretty much what Cersei is, basically is like, I'm not a mother, I'm an asshole. And what makes you think that I can raise a child? And Apollo's like, we don't care what happens to this child, we're just here. And so we get, so Cersei has this, and there's some really cool panels of Cersei basically holding Diana out by her leg, just like, here, it's a baby. And she lays the baby down. She's like, fuck it, we're in hell. Shit's gonna happen, and this is gonna take care of itself. So they Diana is laying there, just kind of laying in a hole, just kind of this deep kind of impression, almost a hole. So she's like, here, deal with it. I've got shit to do. And there's a snake comes up. Big old huge snake gonna eat Diana. Diana grabs the snake, throws it. In fact, the comic book uses the word yeet. She just doop. And Cersei's like, wait a minute. Maybe this child has some potential. So she's not really taking care of the child. She's just letting the child wander around. She's keeping an eye on it just to see if it gets killed, maybe fulfills the potential that she sees in the child. So she's kind of hands off at this point. And Diana comes across the fire lizard, and the fire lizard tries to burn her, and she picks the lizard up, taps it on the nose like, no, no, no. Then kind of tosses the lizard. And this really intrigues Cersei because shit like this keeps happening. So Cersei comes around. Cersei starts to become maternal. She starts nesting. She starts taking care of Diana. She raises Diana. She becomes more of a, when we think like modern Wiccan witches type thing, that kind of, she does the spells, she does the magics, and she teaches it to Diana. And over time, somewhere between about 18 and about 4,000 years, because in a lot of the main continuity, a lot of the main stuff in the Wonder Woman main continuity, she's about 4,000 years old. In fact, in the Justice League movie, I believe it's the Will Wheaton version, there's a scene where Cyborg and Flash are digging up Superman's body, and Barry Allen's going on about, Wonder Woman, how hot she is and all this stuff, and he asks Cyborg, do you think she's into younger men? And Cyborg's like, she's 4,000 years old. All men are younger men. And so this is what we got. So somewhere between about 18 years and about 4,000 years has transpired. Diana is a young adult, doing young adult things, having young adult urges. Then one day she's out, out and about, and a man washes up on the island. The man's name is Steve Trevor. Classic Wonder Woman male love thing. Kind of like Superman and Lois Lane, Batman and everything with a vagina, and, Steve Trevor. And so she brings him in. She has to save him because Hydra tries to eat him. So she saves Trevor from the Hydra. And we have an undisclosed amount of time passes. And she discovers how to return Trevor back to the overworld because he wasn't killed. Something put him there as a test to see what Diana and Cersei would do with him. Would they kill him? Would they eat him? Would they do bizarre magical experiment? What would they do? Somebody is manipulating this. And so Diana finds how to return Steve Trevor to the overworld. It involves magic, involves her cutting off her right arm. Then he's returned to the overworld. Magic happens, and she gets a magical right arm. And then one day in Gateway City, which is on the west coast, it's a make-believe city, kind of a San Francisco parallel on the west coast of America, Gateway City. Steve Trevor is stationed there. Just, he's doing Air Force things. And this giant inverted triangle thing shows up. and all these little demons coming out of this big giant, excuse me, kind of fleshy, inverted triangle. It's triangle this way, point down here, and they start attacking the people in Gateway City, and Diana shows up. Diana's chopping through them, you know, being Wonder Woman. She's riding a skeletal Pegasus. We find out these are harbingers. Basically, they're herald. They're heralding in the big bad. And there's some really cool fighting. Diana is like pretty much gets them, you know, gets the harbingers taken care of. And basically, Steve Trevor had recognized her. They send him out and go, look, you know her. If she can make short work out of these guys, she's a potential threat to us. We need to talk to her. We need to find out where her MO is and figure out whose side she's on. So Diana, he shows up. Diana's like, hey, Steve. He's like, Di, we need to talk. There's some people in power. They're really uneasy about you. She's like, well, I just saved your asses. And they're like, they don't care. They're idiots. So they go, and they go to, so she's like, okay, I know how to handle idiots. And they go, and the commander starts blah, blah, blah. You know, the typical, what are you doing? Blah, 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 just being an asshole. And she's like, chill, dude, chill. She's like, you could have killed a bunch. She's like, look, chill, dude. Just chill out. This ain't over yet. He's like, what do you mean it ain't over? He says, those are harbingers. Those are heralds. The big baddie ain't showed up yet. We need to be getting ready for the big baddie, and not you sitting here giving me the third degree because A, I'm a super being and I got tits and a vagina. Just chill the fuck out for a minute. This is what's happening. We need to evacuate the city and get everyone, get people to safety because we don't know what's coming. And so the big baddie shows up. And she's like, fuck. And this particular big baddie is, I gotta look up, I can't ever remember the name of this thing. It's really an interesting, and of course I can't find it. It's a what's a giant monster? I don't have the wrong glasses on. I don't have my glasses for reading the fine print that they use on comic books. But this big baddie, what he does is he emits a sound that causes people to not fear it. In fact, they want to feed themselves to it. They rush into its jaws and get eaten. And Diana's like, look, this isn't going to be fun. So she finds a news crew. She's like, look, you guys can contact, all these people in this city. She's like, I need you to do a favor for me so they don't freak out and panic. And they're like, okay, so they get everything set up to film her. She's like, look. She's like, people of Gateway City, this big baddie is coming to eat you. I'm going to try to stop it. But she explains its powers, and she's like, look, I am going to cast a spell, and nobody's going to hear anything. What I need you to do is the people, because there are people that aren't going to be able to catch this broadcast, go out and help the people that all of a sudden can't hear a damn thing and keep them from freaking out. And we need to get the city evacuated now. So she does that. She makes her initial attack. And in good comic book fashion, she goes out. The bad guy hands her ass to her. One of the two, she has this magical bag of holding. I forgot to mention that earlier. Which is basically it's a Deus Ex Machina. God in the machine. It's all the things that she conveniently needs at a given time she has. So she pulls out the Sword of Athena, which is a big anime looking sword. If you've seen any kind of anime, it's this big mucking anime sword, which is magical, of course. And she's fighting it. She tells Pegasus, hey, look, this thing will end you. I know you're a skeleton, and we got you resurrected, but I don't think Zeus is going to let you have a second resurrection. So, buddy, I need you to hang out, shoot some fire, fire breath every now and again, but stay clear. Let me handle this. And so they're doing their thing. The monster, the Tetracide, that's what it is, Tetracide, brain just worked, grabs and rips her right arm off. She's like, damn. So they get it. She goes back. She's like, look, we're going to have to really fix this. And everyone's like, your arm is gone. Your arm. She's like, yeah, don't worry. She reaches into her bag. She pulls out a prosthetic arm. She puts it on and goes, yeah, that happens all the time. And that's where Steve realizes that she gave up her right arm, her natural right arm, to free him from the underworld. So she's got her prosthetic. She's like, look, here's what we're gonna do. I've got to do some magic, get my arm back, do some more magic. I can slow this thing down. It will eventually kill me, but I can slow this thing down long enough for you guys to get to safety. And the general commander or whatever is like, it's going to kill you. You're going to give your life. She's like, yeah, that's what I do. And she's like, so you guys need to get the fuck out of Dodge yesterday. She looks at Steve and says, Steve, do you know any witches? I need to pick up some spell components. D&D reference. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you gotta have spell components to get spells. So he's like, yeah, homegirl of mine, Edda, and her sister run a magic shop. He says, well, let's go hang out with them. So they go there, they walk in. Steve's like, hey, Edda. And Edda's like, hey, what's up? And they're like, wait a minute, we can hear you. Are we going to die? And Wonder Woman's like, no, just chill. I've got like a little sub spell going, kind of like a subroutine. It's going to fade quickly, so we need to get this shit done. She hands Edda's sister, Etta Candy. What are you cats? hands her sister a list, and she's reading over. She's like, I got some of this stuff, but the the blood of Prometheus, stuff like that. It's like, we don't have that here. She's like, don't worry about that. I can get gallons of that. Don't worry about that. I need things like hazelwood, these common things. Where I'm from, these things don't grow on trees. They don't grow on the ground. They're just kind of there. And I live in hell, and things like blood of Prometheus we can get all day long. Basilisk scales, we can get those. No, not a big deal. It's these other things that I need. So they get them, and she convinces. She's like, okay, I need blood sacrifice. I need some help here. And Steve Trevor kind of volunteers himself, Etta, and Etta's sister to give about a pint of blood. And she's like, look, guys, I need somewhere that ain't in the middle of your store, because you're not going to be able to sell a whole lot of stuff if it's full of blood. So that they go into like a back room. She does her magic. Her arm comes back. She's like, good. We are good now. So while they're doing this, she gets an idea. And we're gonna have to backtrack a little bit and get a little bit into Diana's magic bag. Her little magic bag has a little bit of everything. She has 2 different lassos at this part. She has one lasso which she used on a harbinger, which inflicts pain in proportion to your sins. The greater your sins, the greater the pain it inflicts on you. So somebody who's a common thief isn't going to have as much pain as somebody that's a mass murderer. So she has that. She also has a second one. The second one will transform. She can use it to transform things. And we have a flashback where her mom gives her this, because that's what Cersei does. She transforms things. So Cersei, she's like, why, Mom? Why would you give me this? This is just wrong. And she's debating this, and the goddess Hecate shows up. Greek goddess Hecate is like, hey, look, Diana, you're an Amazon, okay? Your mama, she's a goddess. She can do things like see the future. This woman loves you. Do you think she would give you something out of malice? Do you think she would do something to make you evil? Do you think she would do all these things after all the love she's given you? Diana's like, no. She's like, think about it. You're going to need this someday. And your mama's just trying to help you out. And she's like, okay. And part of this flashback we find out that it was Hecate doing all this manipulation. She wanted her, because Hecate is kind of got a soft spot for Cersei. And she wanted basically to transform Cersei into a better person. And she wanted to make sure at least the spirits of the Amazons live on. So, we find out that Hecate is the one pulling the strings, or had been pulling the strings. So Diana is like, okay. Then we return to the present. Her idea, she's like, I have an idea. She takes her lasso of transformation and she wraps it around her arm. And she transforms herself into the Gorgon. The most famous of the Gorgons was Medusa. Who, depending on what version of the Greek mythology you accustomed to, grew up with. I grew up with that Medusa was a high priestess to Aphrodite's and kind of screwed around and had sex with Poseidon, which pissed Aphrodite off, and she transformed her into the Gorgon. There are different permutations to that, different gods, goddesses involved. So it just depends which one you grew up with. So she transforms herself into a Gorgon. She transforms the big baddie into a stone statue. The only problem is Diana's a Gorgon now and slowly losing her memory of being Diana of the Amazons. And Steve shows up on the beach and they're like, Steve, she's going to turn you to a rock. And she's like, look, this woman gave up her arm for me. She gave up her right arm. And it's the least I can do is try. He goes out there. She's like, look, Diana, he's saying all these things. And he ends it with Savior of Gateway City, which snaps her out of it. And she transforms back into Diana, which is kind of a close call because you don't want a Gorgon running around your city. So yeah, and we have basically your standard setup for further comics. There's a backup story, which is really cool, and it's based on the real story of the Tiger and Two Doors. I think that's the name of it. The real story is basically a princess falls in love with a commoner, pisses her father off. Her father takes issue with it, and sets up a thing. Sets up a ring. She's like, look, we got two doors. One door, behind one door is a tiger. The other door is a woman that he had once dated before he dated you. If he opens the one with the tiger will eat him dead. Will eat him, will kill him and eat him. And if he opens the one with the woman, I will make sure they will be married and live happily ever after. As king, I will ensure they live happily ever after. And the princess realizes he's not punishing the commoner, he's punishing her. And in the story, the guy comes up expecting this princess to help him out, to save his life. The princess is thinking about, well, if he dies, that's sad, he dies. But if he lives, he marries this other woman. And I don't know if I can live with that. It's like, I don't know. And he goes up, he looks at the princess, he starts to the door, and the story ends. That is where the story ends. That's the real story. It's you, the reader, have to make the connection. Does she feed her boyfriend or her true love to the tiger, so he doesn't marry another woman, or does he let him marry the other woman so he can live? At least he can live happily. We don't know. It's like I said, it's up to you, the reader, to decide. And that's what this backup story is about. In fact, it references this story. So we had all the stuff happen at Gateway City. And a backup story in comics is usually a short kind of story that kind of sets something up or resolves something, where the main story was just a couple pages too short for whatever standards and practices they have for comic book length. And they're relevant as far as giving a little bit more flavor. You don't actually have to read the backup story to enjoy the story. It just gives you a little bit of flavor. So in this backup story, Hades is kind of upset that Diana's in the overworld, so he pulls her back. He's like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to basically do this. Your mama, Circe, knows which door. One door has a tiger behind it. The other door has freedom to the overworld. And you can only return to the underworld after you die. So however long you live, you'll be without your mom. So get ready to make this decision. So Diana is chilling, and it happens to be in the time of year where Persephone is hanging out in hell, because go read the tale of Persephone and how she became Hades' wife and lives in hell for 6 months out of the year. Good Greek story, good Greek myth. She's like, look, she said, Diana, just chill. She said, let me tell you a story about me and a nasty little pomegranate. Evidently, Hades has pomegranate seeds. Loves pomegranates. Hades is a big fan of the pomegranate. And she basically goes over the story, how she was kidnapped, taken away from her mom, Demeter. And Demeter, the 6 months that she has to stay in hell, Demeter cries and throws a fit. That's why we got winter. Then when Persephone returns to the overworld in the spring, we get life and this and that. And she's like, look, when I first came down here, I got hungry. And if you eat anything while you're in hell, you're pretty much locked in. Except for these magical pomegranate seeds. The reason why I'm down here for 6 months of the year is because I ate 6 of them. And Diana's like, oh, okay. Diana's kind of, Then we get to the story. Circe is cool. Circe is a goddess, so she's immortal. So and I kind of think it's not explicitly said. I kind of think maybe Circe and Persephone were in together on this. So Diana comes out. She looks at her mom. Her mom kind of signals which door for her. She opens the door, and it's the door to the overworld. Her freedom to be in the overworld. And Hades like, see you when you die. Peace. She's like, he's like, peace out. And she's like, hold on a minute. You know those pomegranate seeds that Persephone ate? Yeah, I ate one too. So every year I can come down and spend 1 month visiting my mama. Bitch. And we have your classic happy ending. Diana takes Circe back to her island, the Wild Isle. And she's like, okay, I can't touch it, because if I touch it, I got to stay here a month. I got business in the overworld. See you later, Mom. Mom's like, make sure you call and visit. He says, I will build a temple where I can pop up to the overworld every now and again. And we can, we can plan out, do some social media stuff, and have fun with the world. And that's the story of this absolute Wonder Woman. The art in this is wonderful. It's off. I mean, it's some of the best art that I've seen in a long time in comics. And trust me, that's saying a lot, because we've had some awesome, in the last probably 10, 15 years, the art in comics, actually probably longer than that, has, because of technology and the ability to do high art at low price, we've gotten this. This is written by Kelly Thompson. She does a wonderful job. Wonderful job. One of the things in here that I will find and try to read, it's way cool, but in my opinion, they kind of overuse it a little bit, is Diana's little mantra. Is, I am Diana of Themyscira, last of the Amazons, daughter of Circe, princess of the Wild Isle, and yeah, she's, last of the Amazons. And this little mantra is wonderful, especially the first time she uses it. Then they kind of overuse it. They're pushing that boundary of overuse, but it's kind of cool. They could, in my opinion, they could have cut it out once. They could have cut it out once or twice, because there's a couple times they reuse it and it's fitting for the story, and there's a couple times that you're like, yeah, why? So yeah, overall, this is a wonderful comic. I highly recommend it. I'm waiting for more to come out. This is a compilation of the first 10 comics. This is the back cover. Her with her big ass sword. Like I said, it's a big old anime sword. Yeah, it's good. Check it out. Because of this and because of the comic pop stuff, I will probably be checking out more of the absolute universes as I compile them in the graphic novels. So, until next time, everybody, remember to be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?